friends. Happy Sunday. We're continuing with Beverly Cleary's Henry and Ribsy. When we left off, Henry had just heard a big noise from the backyard and wondered what Ribsy was up to. Henry was about to suggest they all go over to the park. Then he decided he had better not take a chance on Ribsy's behavior towards strangers. "Come on, let's see who can walk farthest on his hands," he said, to keep Scooter and Robert from talking about his troubles. While the three boys were busy trying to walk across the lawn on their hands, they heard a sudden clatter and crash from the backyard and promptly got on their feet. "Sounds like a garbage can to me," said Scooter. Henry, who had known instantly what made that noise, was already on his way around the house with Ribsy at his heels. Scooter and Robert were close behind. Henry found the garbage can tipped on its side. The lid had rolled halfway across the backyard and garbage was strewn all the way from the steps to the cherry tree. In the midst of the litter stood a collie and another big dog. A crust of bread hung from the collie's mouth. The dogs started to run when they saw the boys. Ribsy chased them while Henry grabbed an old Woofie's can and threw it after them. "You beat it," he yelled. Then he looked at the mess and groaned. Garbage. He was sick and tired of it. He kicked an eggshell and groaned again. It wasn't worth 15 cents a week. It wasn't worth 100 or 1,000 or even $1,000,000. Scooter and Robert held their noses. Then Scooter made a gagging noise and Robert copied him. "Aw, hey, fellas, cut it out." Henry glared at his friends and pulled the can, still half full, upright. He looked around and sighed. "Well, I guess I better get going," said Scooter. "I just remember I'm supposed to go to the store for my mother." "Me too," said Robert. "So long, Henry." Some friends, thought Henry, and set to work. He was busy scooping up coffee grounds and mildewed pea pods when he heard his father's car turn into the driveway. Mr. Huggins looked around the backyard. "Dogs?" he asked. "That collie and that other big dog down the street," answered Henry. Mr. Huggins did not say anything. He found a shovel in the garage and went to work. Dad," began Henry, "the garbage man isn't exactly a neighbor. Does his complaining about Ribsy mean I don't get to go fishing with you?" "We'll see what happens Monday before we decide," answered his father. "Perhaps we can find out what made him act the way he did." On Saturday, Henry did not take the garbage out at all. When neither his mother or his father reminded him, he guessed they must be as tired of garbage as he was. Sunday afternoon, Robert and Scooter came over to see if anything new had happened to the garbage or to Ribsy. "Oh, fellows, forget it," said Henry. Then he saw Beezus and her little sister Ramona coming down the street. "Hello, Henry. Did the garbage man ever take away your garbage?" Beezus asked. "He'll take it tomorrow," said Henry coldly. The way things got around on Klickitat Street. "Ramona, look out!" screamed Beezus. She rushed over to her little sister, who had a firm hold on Ribsy's tail and was pulling as hard as she could. "He bites," said Beezus. "He bit the garbage man." "He did not bite the garbage man," yelled Henry. "Don't you dare say he did." Ribsy looked around at Ramona. "Woof," he said mildly, and waited patiently while Beezus frantically pried Ramona's fingers loose from his tail. "He didn't bite when Ramona pulled his tail, did he?" Henry asked angrily. "No." Beezus looked doubtfully at Ribsy. "But somebody told Mother he bit the garbage man." "Oh, for Pete's sake." Henry was thoroughly disgusted. This was too much. "Of course you don't know what Ribsy would have done if he had got at the garbage man," observed Scooter. "You keep quiet." Henry glared at Scooter. "The garbage man must have kicked him or something. Look at him. Does he look the least bit cross?" Beezus and the boys looked at Ribsy, who lay on the grass with a patient look on his face. Ramona was sitting on him. When she grabbed his ear, Ribsy looked at Henry as if to say, "Get her off me, won't you?" "No, he doesn't look a bit cross," admitted Beezus, pulling her little sister away. "He seems to understand she's little and doesn't know any better." "Say, Scooter," Henry said, thinking of something to say, I wish you'd take a look at the horn on my bike. It's been sounding funny lately. Sure, said Scooter eagerly. If there was one thing he enjoyed, it was tinkering with a bicycle. Where is it? In the garage, answered Henry, and they all started down the driveway toward the open garage doors. As Scooter took hold of the handlebars and started to wheel the bicycle out of the garage, Ribsy began to growl deep in his throat. The hair stood up on his neck and he moved toward Scooter. Everyone stared at Ribsy. Scooter hastily dropped the bicycle on the driveway, and Ribsy stopped growling at once. He went to Henry and wagged his tail, waiting to be praised. Hey, did you see that? Henry shouted. I sure did, said Scooter. He's a vicious dog. He is not vicious. He was protecting my bike. Henry was growing more excited. He isn't cross at all. He was just protecting my bike. Scooter did not look convinced. Don't you see? Henry went on. That explains about the garbage man. Ribsy was protecting the garbage from the garbage man because he thought it was mine. He's a watchdog, agreed Beezus. Sure, said Henry eagerly. It takes a smart dog to be a watchdog. At this, Robert and Scooter began to shout with laughter. What a watchdog, hooted Scooter. Who ever heard of a dog guarding the garbage? Robert doubled up with laughter. Your valuable garbage, shouted Scooter. Your precious garbage, howled Robert. Aw, cut it out, said Henry sheepishly, and began to laugh, partly because he thought it was funny, but mostly from relief that proving that Ribsy was not a vicious dog. His fishing trip was still safe. Robert and Scooter whooped and pounded each other on the back. Ribsy, sensing they were laughing at him, hung his head and slunk over to Henry, who hugged him and went on laughing. Boy, oh boy, gasped Scooter. I can just see the Huggins' backyard a year from now when it's 10 feet deep in Henry's very own valuable, precious garbage, finished Robert, and the boys whooped some more. Mr. Huggins appeared in the kitchen door. What's all this about? He asked, as he joined the group on the driveway. When he heard the story, he laughed too. He snapped his fingers at Ribsy, and when the dog bounded over him, he slapped his side and said, You're a pretty good dog, aren't you? Ribsy wiggled with delight. Henry's friends, knowing it must be nearly dinner time, started to leave. I'll look at your horn tomorrow if you'll get your bike out of the garage yourself, promised Scooter. Take good care of your garbage, said Robert. Aw, keep quiet, answered Henry, and grinned. Say, Dad, about this garbage. What about it? Asked his father. Well, we didn't have any trouble with Ribsy protecting it from the garbage men when Mom took it out. And I was wondering... Henry paused and looked at his father. Mr. Huggins smiled. Wondering what? Well, I was wondering if there wasn't something else you'd rather have me do for the extra 15 cents than take out the garbage. Mr. Huggins thought it over. All right, he said, I'll take out the garbage if you'll clip around the edge of the lawn after I mow it each week. Okay, Dad, Henry said. It's a deal. Okay, said Mr. Huggins, but just to make sure, we better put Ribsy in the basement when we hear the garbage man coming. He won't mind for a little while, said Henry, giving the garbage a good hard whack as he and his father went into the house. And we'll see you in a few days for Chapter 3, called Henry Gets a Haircut. I hope you're all enjoying your time at home and staying well. Bye.